What is up, Juice Gang? Welcome to the Race Flays Radio Show. This is going to be another amazing show for you. You know, one of the things I love about being in the Twitch DJ program is the friends that I meet along the way. I've met so many great DJs along the way, and it's just growing and growing. The community gets stronger and bigger every single day. One of those friends that I've met along the way is a Denmarkian. That's right, a Denmarkian. My friend from Denmark. He is an amazing DJ. He's an open format DJ. We're going to get to learn about him today in this exciting interview with my friend, Mr. IntoxicatorDK. Please welcome to the show, Mr. IntoxicatorDK. How you doing, sir?
Hello, hello. Thank you for the invite, my brother.
Hold on one second. I got a little thing in the background going on here. Ads are trying to run in the background. Ads are always trying to take over the show, so I gotta stop that. Crazy. How you doing? It's afternoon in Denmark.
Yep.
Awesome. How you doing, sir?
Here in Denmark today, the sun is shining, the blue sky is blue, no winds. Couldn't be better.
Nice. Are you ready? What was the saying you taught me earlier? Are you ready to fight and go fight?
It's ready for fight. It's only a saying, you know. We have ready for fight.
Ready for fight. Nice.
Just before you start a show, are you ready for fight? Yes.
I love that. I'm gonna probably say that all the time I start a show now.
Yeah, why not? It's a cool introduction, right?
Hell
ready
yeah.
For fight.
Ready for fight. Do you say that on your show?
Yeah, sometimes it rolls out.
Nice. Hell yeah.
Ready for fight.
Are you? It's afternoon there. You are like a DJ, so you're a night person. Are you streaming tonight?
No, not tonight. I'm streaming tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning?
Approximately, 12 o'clock. Yeah, that's going to be 6 or 5 a.m. your time, right?
Oh, wow. Yeah. Crazy. So that's going to be early morning for you.
Yeah.
Crazy. Well, I love your show. You have over 2,000 followers on Twitch. How long have you been DJing on Twitch?
4 years now. 4 years, 7 months, and 27 days.
Okay, just about like me. So were you a DJ in the clubs before?
Yeah.
And then
I've been traveling all across Europe. 4 years in Norway, 4 years in Sweden.
What? Holy moly. That's crazy. So all the different clubs all over Europe?
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. So you're well known, well established there in Europe as a club DJ, all the big clubs out there.
Yeah, back in the days I was. Well, it's been some years since I DJ'd on live gigs last. I think it's about 2 years or something that I went on a real live gig.
Yeah, 2 years ago. But you're in your 60s already. So you've been, you didn't, when did you start DJing? How old were you?
Back when I was 18 or so.
18 all the way to you're 59 or something like that before you stop?
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. That's a long history of DJing.
Yeah, well, when I started, I still remember when I really started to DJ. It was on a fucking double cassette deck.
No way! Are you serious?
That's way.
What? So this was in the 70s?
Yep.
In the 70s, yeah, dude, that makes total sense because even when I was DJing, I was doing vinyl, but I still had it was normal back even in the 90s to have a tape deck below your rack. Because we still had tapes coming in.
Yeah, exactly. I started off with a double cassette deck and then went over to the wheels of steel, like you said, to the vinyl. I still remember when you had to carry 20 or 25 cases up and down all the way around.
Yeah, dude.
Your back pain.
Milk crates, boxes. Right? Crazy. How did the double cassette thing work? Because I don't remember. Did it have different channels so you could fade through?
Yeah, you had two different channels, and you had a sort of pitch fader on the double cassettes as well, so you could actually pitch them.
Oh, crazy! You can even pitch them.
Yeah,
That's
you could even pitch it.
that's
It was only like plus or minus 1 or 2 or something like that, but you could still do it, right? But most of it, you just made cut mixes like 1, 2, 3, 4, boom, next. 1, 2, 3, 4, boom, next.
crazy. And this was in the 70s. What type of music were you playing in the 70s in the clubs?
70s disco and rock and roll and stuff like that.
Yeah, disco was huge.
Yeah, disco was absolutely. Well, I still think 70s disco is one of the best genres who ever been made. You know.
You're keeping it strong, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was
I still love to play disco.
What was that?
I still love to play disco. Absolutely.
You still play it on the set?
Yeah, of course.
That's crazy. What were the clubs like back in the 70s?
Totally different from now, I can tell you.
Was it like what is it like? Was it like Studio 54? People
yeah, exactly. You could actually compare them to either Cotton Club or Studio 54.
Wow. So it was snowing in the bathroom. People.
Oh yeah, hanging out with a snowman was really actual at that time.
People were staying awake all night with a little help from their friend, Mr. Snowman.
Thank you.
And wild, shall we say, naked indulgences happening everywhere.
Yeah, you could say that, especially on the toilets and in the dark corners, right? you never know what you would find in the corners.
Oh man! Yeah. Let's go, Shawnee Starfire in the house. Let's go. Good morning, Shawnee Starfire. Right around 4:52 here in California. We got started a little early with our friend Intoxicator DK, a famous DJ from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s here, blowing up the airwaves on Twitch. Over 2,000 followers on Twitch. Out of control. We're just getting into his story. He has been DJing since all the way back when it was cassette deck, when you were switching back and forth from deck A to deck B and making things happen, especially in the disco area of the 70s. And if you can imagine, in America here it was Studio 54. In Denmark, what was the famous club in Denmark, Mr. Intoxicator?
Mesa.
What was it called?
Mesa. Yep.
And what was happening at Mesa that made it so wild?
It was an underground disco club in Copenhagen back in the days.
Oh yeah, Copenhagen, the basically the capital of Denmark or something like that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Copenhagen, the big city, and so you can imagine, just like New York, Los Angeles, Copenhagen back in the 70s was blowing up with disco music. Just coming out of the 60s era, Free Spirit, Free Love was still hanging in there, and it was now intensified by the Snowman's special medicines, nasal drip indicators that's helped keep the music and party alive all the way into the early morning hours, and with a soundtrack made by Intoxicator DK. Did they call you Intoxicator DK back then?
No, actually, my former name was DJ Slick.
DJ Slick, of course. Why would they not call you DJ Slick, my friend? You are DJ Slick. Absolutely. I mean, if you're 60 something and you have a mohawk, You must have been the fashion trend back then. You had the white tuxedo like John Travolta in the Staying Alive movie while you DJ'd. Is that correct?
No, I have to disappoint you there. I was actually quite moderate with my dressing.
What did you used to wear back then? What was your favorite outfit?
Jeans and a t-shirt, some chains and a few rings and earrings in both ears. That's about it.
Nice. You kept it simple. I like that.
Yeah.
Shawnee's.
I love you. Too many people do too much about it. Why not keep it simple? Because people can better relate to you if you stay simple.
I love that. Is that your motto? Like that? Like, have you must have just kept that going. That must be your secret.
Yeah, my secret motto is like keep it humble and keep yourself humble.
I love it. I love it because people were able to relate to you in the club. You're playing at different audiences every night. It's changing constantly. And then now in the 60s, you're on Twitch and you've grown a huge community of 2,000 people. Everybody loves you. We all follow you. We all listen to you. You definitely have kept that vibe going where you're community based and you're about the people.
I love the people because what are we without the people?
Exactly.
The most important thing for you are the viewers and the listeners.
Yes.
So why not make it personal to every listener who comes into your community? Make him or she feel special. That's what I'm all about. Taking it personal, taking it to a personal level.
That's awesome. I'm absorbing that. That's why I paused there. I want to make sure I absorb that. It's great advice for somebody who's been DJing as long as you, and now you're in Twitch for over 4 years. What is the besides the keeping it simple? You've given us some great shit. Keeping it simple. It's all about the listener. Give us some like basic tangible advice, like for me to keep an audience, like my friend Shawnee, like Painting Polish, all my friends. How do I keep them listening?
Yeah, well, I would say keep it personal. Talk to them now and then. See how they're doing, what they're up to, how their day has been. If they had a good weekend, for example, if it's Monday, hey Paulie, how you doing? Did you have a good weekend? How's your day today? How has it been? Are you waking up or something like that?
Nice. So
locked.
Yeah, that's what I noticed. That's the great thing. That's probably one of the things I love about Twitch is that you actually can talk to the person through the chat and really ask them about their day, like how their day is going, how their family is. And
I think it's very important because when you, for example, go into chat and there's no one to greet you or something like that, you lose interest at once. But if you're like the DJ, first-time chatter, for example, hey, first-time chatter, blah, 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 hello, how are you doing? Welcome to the family. Hope you have a wonderful day.
That felt great right there, the way you said that. I feel good already. Yeah. You have that voice. Yeah. Wow, DJ Slick.
That's what really makes it important, because if you can do like that and you make people comfortable and they feeling they're in a safe place, they will stay.
Got it. That's the magic formula right there. If they get greeted, they feel safe, then they will stay. It's like human nature. Wherever you go, if you feel safe, you're gonna stay. If you don't feel safe, you'll go away.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Crazy. Give us going back to the 70s, what was the most wildest story you have from the 70s? Without getting yourself in trouble.
No, I don't. No, I was in a club, and I don't know. You probably know a couple of rap stars from back then, Frankie Knuckles and all the big DJs back then, right?
Yeah.
They partied, stuff like that. When they locked the door and they put a chain around it and blah, etc., etc. One of the clubs I was in Oslo, on the Pew and the Pew club, and I was starting up and everything, like putting all the gear in step and putting all the records. All of a sudden, there comes a girl up to me. What are you doing tonight? She's asking. And I just looked at her. What the fuck do you mean? No, what are you doing tonight? Yeah, well, I'm playing music. No, you're not. No, I'm not. Why not? No, because you're going to party with us instead. So she
Whoa.
tried to hook me up before I started off at the club to get me to another club. That was fucking crazy.
Oh, so she was trying to kind of offer herself up to try to get you to grab your gear and go over to the other club?
Exactly.
What that's called? Is that called like DJ chopping or like
Stealing a DJ.
Yeah, damn! What? Wow, that is a hard. Like you, I mean, you have to be disciplined, my friend, because these women can be just popping up every club you go to.
Yeah. Everywhere you are in and starting up, especially when you go to the 80s, beginning of the 80s and the middle of the 80s. That was really terrible because when you got like on the southern Balearic Islands or something like that, everybody wants to have you because, okay, he's going to play there. We're going to try to see if we can get into our club instead, and etc. etc. That was crazy.
Awesome. That's crazy, dude. Love having you as well, Shawnee. Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, dude, that makes sense. If you're on a small island and it's the 80s and everybody hears that you're going to play on this side of the island, all the promoters are going to want you over. And what better way than send? And they probably have a army of hot chicks that go over to seek out DJs and bring them back to the other side of the island. It's like Lord of the Flies, but in the DJ sense.
Exactly, but it's the same. They try to rob customers from each other with cheap drinks and cheap offers and etc. etc. It will always be like that. It's a competition.
Yeah, damn. Even
All about entertainment.
Entertainment, yeah. Talk about entertainment. They're trying to steal the entertainment from one club and take it over to the other club to make their club happen using women and probably sometimes vials of white powder and bags of green oregano. And making those offers. Did any of those offers just get so big and so hard to resist, my friend, that you had to roll your records over to the other club? Did that ever happen?
Oh, never done it.
They couldn't buy you.
No, I think when you do a deal with a club, it's also a question of trusting each other,
Right. So you were a man of integrity in those days.
Yeah, well, I still am. I'm 100% loyal to what I'm doing.
That's awesome. I love that. That is there. You don't have to convince me, because if you pass up the lady folk, or you pass up vials of your favorite party favors to stay loyal and dedicated to the contract that you've already signed with one club, that tells me that you are dedicated and you're a man of integrity, my friend. That is incredible.
Thank you so much, sir.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
So Irish Dragon says you're moving to Canada. Is that true?
It's a joke.
Why does Irish Dragon want you to move to Canada?
No, it's a joke between him and me.
Oh, okay. So he
I'm moving here on the June 1st. I'm moving, but I'm only moving 40 kilometers away, 4 miles away from the place I live now.
So you move quite a lot?
No, it's just I don't know. You were on my memory stream for my mother. My mother died in January, right?
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yes, I streamed on that train.
Yeah. And I was living in a house, and now the house is sold. So now I'm moving to a new place start a new chapter in my life again.
That makes sense. Well, God bless your mom. She lived a long life.
Yeah, she lived 92 years old.
92, bro. That's crazy.
Oh, well, if I'm still sitting in a wheelchair and DJing when I'm 92, I would be fucking God gracious, right?
Hell yeah, dude. How does it feel? How does it feel at you're 62, you said?
I'm 61. I'm turning 62 here in October.
Yeah, you'll be 62 in October. I mean, 4 years ago, you were in your late 50s, and were you still DJing in the clubs 4 years ago?
Yeah.
And
some gigs from time to time in Germany.
And so much like most of the DJs that are on Twitch now, once COVID came, did that shift you into the Twitch era?
Yeah.
Crazy. How did you find out about Twitch?
Well, it was during COVID. I was working on a radio station, on a UK radio station.
Oh. So
they started up with to tell me about Twitch, and I just got curious, and then started with my channel up, and then all of a sudden, boom.
Wow, that's great. So you were working at the radio station, even though COVID was the radio stations were still going, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you still had the radio station, but you got curious about Twitch.
Yeah.
Wow. And then
I started to build my community, and it's been growing ever since.
Man, how was it pretty easy to, like, the technology part of the things? You've got an amazing background there. It looks like you probably have a green screen. The technology, because of your years of the way technology has changed, all the way from tape decks to albums to, was it easy for you to transition into the Twitch thing?
Technology is no problem for me. I'm an educated IT technician, so.
Oh,
no
damn. Okay, so the IT is your day gig.
Oh yes.
Wow.
I'm retired now.
Wow. So that's no problem. You're just like, oh, this is just computer stuff. This is no. You could basically write your own background.
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy, man. That's awesome, dude. So the technology part was nothing for you. You came right in into the Twitch stream. You're an open forum DJ. Tell the audience what that means.
Yeah, well, an open format is like a multi genre. You can play almost everything from minimal tech house to techno to country or dance music. German Schlager, whatever you want. It's a little bit of everything, you know.
And what makes you? Do you stream every single day, or what's your schedule like?
Oh, I'm taking it as it comes. If I want to go on a day, I go on a day. If I don't want to go on, I'll take a break. I got no schedule planned.
That's the benefit of being retired. You could just turn the switch on anytime you want, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not married and I don't have children, so
smart man.
What I want, when I want, how I want.
Those words you just said are never heard from a married man. I can do what I want. I can do when I want. those are for us married folk. It's, honey, can I? Can I when I want? Can I when I want? That's me. Is that the question? Can I when I want? You, my friend, are free as a wild Mustang in the forest. You can DJ anytime you want. You can party at a club anytime you want. You can do anything you want. You are IntoxicatorDK, my friend.
I get you intoxicated.
You'll get people intoxicated. Oh man, with with the music he plays, it's incredible. You should make sure you follow him, IntoxicatorDK on Twitch. He plays all the time. We're always listening to him. Always great music. The other day you were playing house music, right? Yeah.
Old school.
That was sick. I love that. I love when you do that. And then what are some of the other genres that you played recently?
Yeah, well, old school techno from middle of the 80s, early 80s, like Drum Code Nation, for example. I love Drum Code Nation.
Drum Code Nation?
Drum Code Nation is one of my absolute favorites at the moment.
Oh, wow. Let me look that up. Crazy. Drum Code Nation.
Adam Beyer and stuff like that. It's slow and it's very hypnotic.
Ooh, I like that. Drum Code Nation? Huh. Why can't I find that? That's weird. I'll have to look that up later. Drum Code Nation. I'm gonna look that up. Crazy. So Drum Code Nation. Drum Code Nation. What other music you like to play?
Tech house.
Tech house. What is the so the 70s is like a disco era, if you remember. We talked about some of people know from the movies, the raging parties, the disco era. How was it going into the 80s? Describe, if you can remember, was there any drastic change going into the 80s? Do you remember?
Not really, because the disco was only evolving. The disco got different. That's a whole. And people, I think, from the 70s to the 80s, the main thing that changed is the way people party. The 70s were pretty wild, and the 80s got a little bit down on the partying until the late 80s, when the first techno started to come out in the late 80s, beginning of the 90s. Then the party went up again. It's like a wave. It's up and down and up and down and up and down.
Wow, you caught all those waves. It's interesting that you say the 80s, in the early 80s, it went down a little bit. We are used to seeing on the movies that it went kind of up as people were really getting into, cocaine was not illegal, I don't think. Maybe it was, but it was more recreational. People didn't know how dangerous it was. So the 80s, we think of it as like going up. So you were there. 70s was wild. It goes down a little bit, but then the techno late 80s comes in, goes back up again, and then in the 90s, what was hip in the 90s? I mean, for us here in America, it was grunge. It was West Coast hip hop was happening over here in Los Angeles. What was going on in your area?
In Europe, like Denmark, UK, and stuff like that, the early house came in, and the techno and dance, Euro dance, and stuff like that. High energy music.
That's true. That makes sense, because house got really big in the 90s, and we were hearing it all, and a lot of it was coming from Denmark and Europe, and techno was very big in the 90s and into the 2000s in Europe.
Oh yes, think about it when the big festivals started back in the 90s, like, for example, Love Parade or stuff like that.
Yeah.
DEFCON.
Yeah, the raves. So, it was all raves.
The real underground raves, those were fucking brilliant. You just got a ticket and a phone number, and you came to a certain location, packed all your stuff, went for it, got a 10, 12 hours rave, and then you just disappeared into the darkness again.
That's a great way to describe it, dude. I remember there was a couple of occasions where we got a flyer and they said to meet at this corner of the street, and you'd meet at that corner of the street. Like you drive an hour, meet at the corner of the street. They'd give you another flyer to go to another corner of the street, and from that corner of the street, they give you the map that would take you to the rave, and you'd have the secret code, and you get in the rave. That was one occasion. There was a second occasion where we had to drive to the very bottom of the Santa Monica Mountains, and it was pitch dark at this area that they told us to meet at. And then we waited there for like 2 hours, and they just said, wait for the bus, wait for the blue bus. And then we waited, and we're like, we're about to leave. Like, this is ridiculous. We got a case of beers here, and we're waiting around doing nothing with these strangers that we don't even know. And then all of a sudden the blue bus comes around the corner and picks us up and takes us like 40 minutes up into the Santa Monica Mountains, and we hit this plateau, and there's like teepees, there's a stage, there's all these colors, there's thousands of people on this hill. You wouldn't even know that was going up there, that it was going on up there in the mountains of or the hills of Santa Monica, but this just
right. That's the whole charm about those underground raids, because you never know what you get into, and all of a sudden you just hear this, and you just feel to vibrate in your body and stuff like that. And what the hell is going on here? And you just
yeah, it was amazing. I can feel it when I think about that. Like
the craziest thing I experienced was when I was in northern Norway. They had this old church, like 200-300 years old, this church. I got an invitation from a friend I knew there. And come over there, we're going to start, and we're going to warm up, and then we're going to go to the party. Okay? I went over there, and then all of a sudden, we came into the church, and a couple of 100 meters in front of the church, you could just like...
Oh.
And then you saw the laser lights coming out of the roof on the church. Imagine yourself, the laser lights coming out of the church.
That's
and
awesome.
You just hear this.
Holy moly!
I'm telling you, I was in seventh heaven.
What a beautiful vision. You're going to you're walking towards the church. Laser lights are coming out of the old roof, and the sound that do.
Exactly. If
anybody's listening right now, you remember those sounds. If you were into the raves, I certainly was. We went to an old. He went to some in an empty church. I've gone to some that were in an empty lake bed in the middle of the deserts. I've gone to some where it was like a movie. Up in the high desert, there's these movie ranches, and they're most of the time they're abandoned unless they're filming movies on them. But there was a time we went to a rave on one. It was crazy because it was like living in it's such a drastic change. We talked about it when Champion Aramis was here. In LA, you can drive up to the snow if you want to. You can go to the beach if you want to. You can be in the high desert in an hour. And so for us, it was we don't see like horses over here in LA, unless we just don't see that often. So to go up to this ranch where there's like these fences, like a John Wayne ranch looking place with fences and horses and stuff like that, and somebody had placed at this time, and just like you said, I mean, this type of stuff could happen in an hour, in 2 hours. They can put up a stage in 2 hours. Next thing you know, the freaking thing is just raging.
Yeah, exactly.
All this stuff done in cover of darkness, and somehow, some way, at least 1,000, 2,000 people knew about this. Somehow the promoter was able to let people know about this, and there was no social media at that time. You're talking about hand passing out flyers. You'd get a flyer from like Level's record store or something like that, and they would be a little square thing, a little card, and then you knew about, it said like free rave or something like that. and or $10 maybe to get in, and you either met somebody at a corner with the instructions, or you figured out by word of mouth where it was going to be last minute, because nowadays raves are totally legal. Even in the early 2000s, they're no problem. But in our day, right, Intoxicator, it was illegal. They were just having them in the middle. There was no licenses, no permits, and a lot of them got raided.
That was the charm about it, because I think the legal raves are not the same as the illegal raves.
No, they're well produced. They're organized. There's water.
Yeah, exactly.
We didn't have all that. If you wanted water, you had to carry it on your back. And by the way, I wasn't drinking water in those days. I was drinking beer. So I had an ice chest on my back, and then the indulgences would be all over the party. And so you'd get thirsty. You'd have to drink a lot of beer.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're dancing like crazy all through the night from 10
and all of a sudden,
till 6 in the morning.
Just when you're getting hot and when you're getting off, really getting off, the rave is over. And you just wonder by yourself, what the fuck? Where did the last 10 hours go?
Yeah, 10 hours exactly. And how would the rave always end, right, Intoxicator? What would happen? The sun would come up, right? If you're in the field, the sun would come up and just kill the vibe, like sheesh. And you and if you had some indulgences that gave you the visuals, you might be like, wow. And then you're like, okay, I got to chill for a while.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah, I'm in a brave new world. You're like,
It was a beautiful sunshine in those days.
Best sunrise ever, right?
Best sunrises in those mornings, those rave mornings. If you were indulging in some medicines,
when you start to wind down, sit with a couple of friends, just talking about the wild night and feeling the sun on your body, and wow.
Yeah, you know what was crazy? What I was thinking about last night when I was thinking about talking to you and the raves, I was like, it was crazy because you could. I mentioned the teepee, right? So the one time I was like, you could split up. You didn't have to stay with your friends. It was so safe that you could just split up. Like I was in this teepee, hanging out with these people I didn't even know, smoking some regular funny cigarettes, and then 30 minutes later, my friend walks in from nowhere. I don't know where he was. And then I introduced him to all the people that were in the teepee. And I'm like, dude, this is my best friend, Dave. And you could be like, you could just lose each other and find each other.
But if you look at it, right, that's the main difference between ravers and clubbers, because the ravers, it's all about love.
Yes.
It's all about being one group and projecting the love, because there's no alcohol.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're right. It was very weird of me, like to be bringing beers, because really nobody was drinking. They were mostly doing drugs, exactly. And they were all about the love, like you said.
All about spreading the love and getting together as one big family. You know, you could go totally alone, and you will never be alone anyway, because there was always somebody to talk to, always somebody to party with.
Yeah, it was so crazy. The strangers were not strangers. The minute you hit that field, everybody was one. Everybody was about love. Everybody was about dancing, and just
having fun.
Yeah, dancing, having fun, and we're not talking about like debauchery love, like in the 60s, like everybody loved. Like it wasn't like that. It was like pure. It was weirdly pure, and people were about wanting to, not trying to hook up, but wanting to dance. Like people just wanted to dance,
Exactly.
dance throughout the night.
You know, and that's also the difference between clubbing people and ravers, because in the club it's a meat market.
Yeah, you're going to hook up. You're trying to go. You're going to the club because you want to hook up.
Yeah, exactly. But it's totally different when you go to raves and stuff like that, because it was all about the music, nothing else but the music.
100%. That's the one. The one consistency throughout the crowd was the women, the men, everybody there were. Those 1,000 people were 1,000 music fans. They were there for one music to dance.
Yeah, exactly.
It was It's crazy to find 1,000. That's probably why everybody got along, because everybody there was a huge music fan, and they had that in common.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, common vibe.
Crazy. It's out of control. When you started to, it got into the 90s. It got into the. Did you notice the clubs at one point start to try to copy that, or try to get that rave vibe into their clubs in some way?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. But they, it had to be an underground club, and it had to be dirty. It had to be like hush hush, and that's the only way you could copy that, because if you got too commercial, it wouldn't be the same anyway.
Yeah, it got to a point where it got so big in the 2000s. It was like these big warehouses. It was all legal. There were security guards there. It was $25 instead of $10. They had food there, water.
It's not the same.
It's not the same. It became commercialized. Shawnee Starfire says, I've never been to a rave before because of the drugs. Always wanted to experience the vibe, though. Oh, yeah. That's the only thing. It was a big drug fest for sure. There were indulgences.
Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. But it was still your own choice if you wanted to take something or not.
Yeah, and it wasn't because speed was heavy in the 90s, but it wasn't like anybody in the rave was really doing any of that hard drugs. That mostly acid, and then ecstasy got big as we got close to the 2000s. Mostly stuff like that. More like you wanted to kind of like experience, or because the lights, they had the laser light shows. Acid worked really well for that. All the lights and the music.
Exactly. It's about a visual. It was a visual and the feeling about the vibe. The music, the bass, the visuals, everything had to come up to a higher end.
Yeah.
It was all building you up.
Yeah, it was all about the bass, the driving all night long, partying, dancing, just and you had the glow sticks. You're like glow sticking it.
The more you were sweating, the better the party got.
Yeah, dude, I was thinking that you would be dancing nonstop for hours. You're just soaked, but you were just keep going with your glow sticks. I don't know if glow sticks were a big thing there in Denmark as well.
It was everywhere. Glow sticks were everywhere. Absolutely. You can't really do a rave without glow sticks.
Yeah, whoever owned the glow stick company is a millionaire by now.
Absolutely, he's filthy rich.
He's living on a yacht, and it has glow sticks glued all around it, and he's loving life.
Absolutely. He's got a boat made of glow sticks.
Yes. He's a floaty made of glow sticks, and he's loving life.
I'm sailing into the sun on my glow stick boat.
Yep. And he's probably a raver. The guy that owns that is probably a raver. He knew 100%. He knew what was coming. He knew what we needed. We needed glow. When you're in the pitch black dark, and the only light you see is on the stage with the lasers. If you move away from the stage, you're gonna need some sort of light. You don't want a flashlight because that'll kill the vibe. The lights that you use as tools are the glow sticks.
Yeah.
It's out of control.
Exactly. Remember, you had like 3 or 4 different colors. You had the neon yellow, the neon green, the neon pink,
and red,
the neon purple. Yeah, and red, of course.
Yeah, and the big red.
You could like then later they made like you could put them together and make all kind of different
necklaces,
forms with necklaces, arm wrists, and everything.
Oh yeah, once they made them like a little straw thing. that you could connect, and you got wristbands, necklaces, headbands. Then you just see, all you see in the dark is just like this glowing thing going ding 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 ding, ding, and that's some girl running across the field. You're like, oh, there goes my friend, and it's like you just see these lights going across.
What the heck? I see a pink light.
Yeah, and then sometimes it was wavy if you were on the right aspirin. The light would be wavy.
And later in the race, when they designed the body paint, the glowing.
Oh yeah, that's right. Body paint on the arms and your face.
In different colors, you know. You saw the funny faces when they made it with the glow sticks.
It's crazy. That's crazy. But I always was like super impressed at how they could build the stages very quickly, and they had to be huge speakers, because you imagine you're playing in a field. So to get that kind of sound across the field, you have to have huge speakers. These speakers were huge. And so to get these huge speakers in the middle of a dry lake bed in the desert, or in the back of this cowboy ranch, movie style ranch, all of a sudden in the middle of this field, to have these giant speakers was incredible to me, how they set these things up.
Oh, exactly. Well, it's all about organizing, you know. I think it was a really, really, really good team back then, because they had everything what they needed: generators, speakers, amplifiers, etc., lightning. They had I guarantee you, they had a big truck or something like that, drove out in the desert, throw it all out, set it all up. When it's done, package that together, find a new location, do the same again.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's
all about organizing. It's being proactive, you know, and always being one step ahead.
Yeah, the guys that were involved were super organized. They were these entrepreneurial minds. They weren't going to do it legal. They were going to do it their way. And the only way you could do it to that extent, to that extreme, is by just doing it on your own, no permits, you know, exactly. Highly organized, but without the city's involvement or the government's involvement, which was kind of impressive.
No, but it's not really impressive, because if there are no rules, you know, if there are no rules on a event, the event will always be a lot better than if you have an event with 10,000 rules. You know what I'm saying?
True. Right. So it was kind of, you think it was kind of that freedom that they had?
Yeah, exactly. It's better to be free than to be bound.
100%. There's the only limit would be your imagination, right?
Exactly. The limit is the sky.
The sky's the limit. Crazy. Yeah, exactly. How does it feel now that you're DJing on Twitch? How does it feel? How does it feel different being on digitally instead of in the field?
The difference is totally clear. You don't have a live audience. You know, you can't really see how the people are reacting on your music.
Yeah,
that's the main difference. Because when you're streaming, you are like you see on the way they write and stuff like that in the chat how they really react on it. But if you're on a club or on an event or whatever you are, you have a live audience. You can see how they dance, how they react to the music, to react to the rhythms and to the sequences. You can't really see that on Twitch. That's the main difference.
Was it hard for you at the beginning to get used to that? Because you've been playing in front of audiences from the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s. You've been playing in front of live people.
Absolutely. It was a game changer, because you had to imagine yourself being in a club, but streaming instead.
Yeah, Chris. So you that's a great technique. I guess for you it was a little bit easier because you had decades of imagination to put in your brain to remember. All the memories were probably coming back in your head as you were streaming live on Twitch.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's all about for yourself to visualize that. And that's why I also like to, like, for example, if you play retro tunes, when you play the old school retro tunes, I like to put an old movie behind, you have on the wallpapers, like a retro.
Did you say retro tunes?
Yeah.
Oh, retro tunes. Okay,
Retro.
good.
Yeah.
Wanted to make sure. So you play retro tunes, and you put some old videos in the background.
Yeah, exactly. So it fits like it's a whole package. What you're getting. You can't really go along with playing old tunes and then putting brand new videos with high tech and everything on. You know, I don't think it's giving you the whole picture. The whole picture has to be a full package with something for the eyes and something for the ears.
I love that. It has to match.
Yeah, exactly.
Where do you find all these videos at? Is this like YouTube?
Well, I got some friends who are making some of them for me.
Nice. Heck yeah. So you kind of tell them ahead, like, hey, I'm playing this music. Can you make this video for me?
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Of course, I pay them a little bit for it and everything. So, but I know it's unique, made for me. So I know there's no one else playing, showing it.
Wow. So that's what. Yeah. So you're making that. You're that whole package. The music's awesome. You're entertaining. Plus you got the visuals. It's almost, you're basically taking the rave idea and condensing it into a show.
Yeah, exactly.
All the aspects of what was great about a rave and putting it into a hour. How what's the average do you stream for like 3 hours and stuff like that?
Between sometimes I do. Well, I went a little crazy here a couple of years ago when I started off. I think my the longest stream was 38 hours straight.
38 hours straight?
Yep.
When
no breaks.
No breaks?
38 hours. No breaks.
You didn't sleep?
38 hours. Nope.
Holy moly. Man, did you have to break out one of those 70s vials to keep yourself wide awake?
Oh no, nothing.
Nothing.
Only coffee and Red Bull.
Lots of coffee and Red Bull for sure, my friend. 36 hours? Holy moly. 38. Don't forget those last two. Oh my gosh, that is crazy.
I don't do that anymore. I normally play like between 2 and 4 hours.
Wow, my gosh, you have energy, my friend. At 62, you have incredible energy. You're going to be 62. You're 61 now. You have tons of energy. 36-hour streams, 3-hour streams, and you're standing the whole time.
Yeah.
Crazy.
This is the first time I ever sit down and make an interview, to be quite honest. It's the first time I ever sit down.
You had to break out the chair from the garage to sit down with Raised Flaves.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's amazing, man. Well, I appreciate you doing this.
Of course. I'm really stoked about it because it's something new for me as well.
It's awesome. You have you have amazing stories. I'm glad we got to sit down and talk with you today because you have the experience that a lot of people don't have of being there in the 70s, in the 80s, into the 90s, in the 2000s, and now streaming at age 61. You're incredible, my friend.
Thank you very much, and right back at you.
My friends, make sure you follow IntoxicatorDK on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/IntoxicatorDK. He's streaming constantly. He's 61 and he's not stopping. He's going to go all the way till he's 150. He's going to keep streaming. If you think that, he's an old man that he knows about the technology, he's an IT expert. He can freaking put the freaking background, any background he wants. He can make music happen like crazy, light shows, videos. He's got people making videos for him. Make sure you don't miss this. Painting Polish is going to catch the replay. Shawnee Starfire was with us as well. Guys, thank you for watching. Stay thirsty, my friends, and not dangerous. Have a great rest of your day.